I'm Rowan Hand, and this is Liam Fitzsimmons from the Newry Veterinary Centre in Patrick Street in Newry. And you can see from the deportment of Liam that he's just in from delivering a cow. It was delivered prematurely in a taxi on the way to the calving barn. The sleeves were rolled up and all the rest of it. The cow was pulled out and was all done. But you mustn't pull too hard. You must allow the cow to do the business itself. You guide it out more than pull it out.
You work with the contractions.
You work with the contractions. I know such things are right, because no matter how you try, the cow is always right. That's terrible. That's awful. Stop it. Where were you?
Poet, maybe, singer not.
No, I know. It's terrible. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
I like your new jumper.
Thank you very much.
Newry Veterinary
These
Centre.
landed in during the week, so.
Wow, why not? Roll them out, let them be. So you're busy lambing at the moment.
Lambing and calving. Busy during the night rather than during the day for some reason.
It's my opinion, and I may be wrong, that the ewe is better able to do the business herself than the cow is able to do its business itself.
You're probably right. Then, well, it depends on the breed. A lot of sheep haven't been messed about with as much genetically as cattle.
Yeah.
So you don't have the gross abnormalities that you get in some of the bigger beef breeds.
And the way, you know, when you have to intervene, do you still use a rope and you reach up into the uterus and you fasten the rope onto the 4 legs of the calf,
yes,
and you take the rope out and you have it there, and as the contraction occur, boom.
We also have jacks now.
Jacks?
Yeah, sort of a
Has to be
ratchet
that
type
powerful,
system.
yeah.
A jack is worth 6 men. The problem is there's nobody in the country during the day now. 40, 50 years ago, every farm had somebody at home.
Yes,
Now, all
yeah.
part-time farmers and nobody there. And also bigger animals, bigger calves.
Yeah.
But yes, basically.
Yeah. The thing you have to be careful of now, you referred to the kind of genetic mutation bit of business there within, not quite genetic mutation, but with all the stuff that's been fed to them over the years, and with the separateness of man and beast more and more nowadays, these creatures can be quite violent.
50, 60 years ago, cows were kept in byres. They were handled every day. They were fed by hand. They knew their owners. They knew people. Whereas cattle now are basically just kept in houses and groups, and they see a farmer on a tractor. So when it comes to interaction with mankind, they can be. Everybody always watches a bull, but there's 4 people killed every year in Ireland by cows.
Cows?
Yeah. And it's normally associated with calving.
Yeah. If you're
They're protective, yeah.
Yeah, they're protective. And is it calving, pre-calving, or is it post-calving?
At calving time, the pain of calving can make a cow very agitated, and post-calving, there's a natural protective maternal instinct.
How is you're caught on both accounts? Yeah. How would the cow go about killing a human being? I know how a bull would do it. Charge.
They say a cow will hit you once to put you down, whereas a bull will actually pin you to the ground and gore you. But a cow will charge.
He charges. Does he go for the follow-up? Is there that in him? A bull will.
Yeah. I know one farmer was actually knocked out. When he came round again, the bull was standing with his head on his chest, and he managed to scramble under a gate while on the ground to get away from him. Otherwise, he would have been killed by a Frisian bull.
This happened locally?
Happened locally, yeah. It's very, very common for people to be attacked.
Yeah.
And thankfully, they don't all end in death, but
no,
you have to be very, very respectful.
Absolutely. And as you say, it's a changed scenario from 50, 60 years ago.
It is. The farm is a dangerous place in a lot of ways now. For you have machinery, you have slurry gas, an example being the Spences.
Yeah. Post-Spence, the awfulness that occurred there and the deaths, the rugby lad and the family trying to rescue and all the rest of it, is it your experience on farms that there's a greater wisdom growing or not? You see it on
the knowledge is there. The problem is at the spur of the moment. When the adrenaline's high, people do silly things. Yeah. Including there's one of our own vets got down into a slurry pit to help rescue a cow. And lucky enough got away with it. There wasn't very much slurry in the pit, but then again, there wasn't much in the Spence farm either.
Yeah.
It's whenever you're faced with a situation where you have to act.
Well, you can act foolishly or you can act wisely. If I see a man drowning in the canal, I'll take the spare wheel out of my car and throw it to him rather than jump in myself.
Yeah.
There's a wee bit of thinking involved. But I mean, we all do. We all are driven by adrenaline. We do the right thing that we think at the time, and that's exactly it.
Flight and fight.
Yeah, flight or fight. Yeah, absolutely. Right. The domestic pets situation today. What's happening there in terms of the complaints that are being brought to you?
There's kennel cough in the town, which is a tracheobronchitis. It's like a choking condition. And there's an outbreak of it in the town at the present time. We've been seeing 2 or 3 a day. We have the usual vomiting, diarrhea, overfeeding being a main thing. Dogs stealing stuff out of kitchens.
Wow.
Anything unusual?
They do that.
Not that I can think of. There's been nothing this week that's been...
The dog would come through the window for the Sunday roast.
Dog will do anything. We have one lady has to put child locks on her cupboards and fridge for the dog can actually access cupboards and fridge.
You're joking. Wonderful talking about that, wonderful thing this week, out of the Neil, my friend Neil Powell, the dog trainer's kennel, comes the notion of dogs that can do things for people, like, you know, answer the door or bark on command. People who are ill or can detect the coming of one of these febrile fits or whatever that come on.
Epilepsy,
They detect it.
Cancer. They're actually using dogs now to detect lung cancer.
How do they do that? What is that about?
Dog sense of smell is about 10,000 times more accurate than ours.
Yeah.
So they can pick up changes in your body temperature, your body odor. They really are amazing. You didn't see Crufts, so you weren't watching Crufts.
I saw a bit of Crufts. I thought to myself, there's some very unusual looking poodles, and with
the dog that won, it was more a haircut. He won, well, maybe not.
I never saw it like that in my life.
It's probably his carriage and whatever else, but
yes.
Without the beautician, I don't think it would look like much.
Why do the dog trotters and handlers at Crufts they all seem to have the thick part of the leg starting at the ankle?
In the dogs?
No, in the woman.
Oh, sorry.
In the woman. You know, in the woman.
Yeah, be careful.
There's a certain kind of woman that goes into that sort of thing. No, I think you're very wise.
A lot of them are our clients.
I know. But I think they're beautiful because the more leg one can get, the better it is. And back to lamb again, of course.
Big calves.
Yeah, big calves. Oh, it's wonderful.
What every farmer wants.
Yeah, what every farmer wants. But I mean, the thing the farmer really wants is, farming it's different nowadays. It's almost, if you look at the hill farms around Mourne, overlooking the ocean, it's a dying thing. Or do you find that?
There are fewer and fewer farmers, and the farmers that are there are bigger and bigger.
Mechanized as well.
Mechanized, yeah.
Hedges are ripped out.
Well, I think they stopped ripping out hedges now, thankfully.
Yeah.
But there was a time, hedges are actually this part of the country need hedges for shelter.
Yeah, of course.
And shade when we do get a summer.
Yeah. I just sometimes feel that the whole landscape is changing beyond recognition because I hear what you say about needing hedges for shelter, needing it for protection against the heat and all the rest of it for creatures. But the heart of the farmer doesn't seem to be in it any longer. The heart of the farmer seems to be directed towards the bottom line, what's coming up at the bottom.
And they have to.
They have to because the money isn't there.
It is tight.
Yeah, it isn't there. You have a fellow, a Kilcoo man back from Australia.
Yes, we started a new vet, Brian McLaughlin, and Brian has worked in Castle, Carrickmacross, Armagh, and he spent 3 years in Canberra in a small animal practice. So he's back a couple of months now. So he started with us 4 years ago.
What was the process of getting him? Did you headhunt him, or did he send a letter of application? How does that sort of thing? How does a vet who was working in Australia end up in Patrick Street in Newry?
He came home basically and was looking for a job, and our magazine would be the Veterinary Record, which you advertise in.
Yes.
And he applied for the job, along with about 50 others, of which 90% of them were foreign nationals.
Yeah. What does that tell you? 50 people applying for a veterinary surgeons or veterinary doctors post. 50 people applying for it. It's qualified people.
There are plenty of jobs for vets. We're getting a lot of Europeans coming in now.
Yes.
Because of supply and demand. In Europe, there's oversupply of vets, whereas here there's probably just enough to keep us going. But there's a lot of Europeans coming in.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's all part of the mixed economy.
It is a good thing, yeah. The only thing is the language.
Yeah, they need to sort that.
And
needs to be sorted.
colloquialisms, the problem,
Yeah.
especially with farmers.
Oh, sure.
There's some farmers I have difficulty understanding.
I know this thing. I know this thing.
But there are some excellent farm vets.
Yeah, of course, yeah, which is a good thing. You're heading back now for your day at the office, and you could be called out if you're doing consultation and there's another emergency. You'll be called away.
I can be called out.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's always somebody there to cover calls, or to cover small animal. Or
How do you work Warren Point into the scenario? You do Warren Point
Warren
as
Point
well.
has an evening clinic from 5 to 6. It's open in the morning from 9 to 11. It's only a part-time clinic, 9 to 11, and then 4 to 6 in the evening.
Do you find that Warren Point is so sophisticated that the animals can come in themselves and tell you what's wrong?
Not quite yet. Probably getting that way.
Yeah, Warren Point is lovely. I enjoy Warren Point.
The Point's a nice
But I constantly muse, and I said this time and time again, nowhere else on the whole planet have I ever seen people stopping at green lights to wave their friends across. That's the quaintness of Warren Point, I tell you.
Definitely not in Newry.
Not in Newry. But have you any idea what's on the program when you go back?
I think we have an eye enucleation.
A what?
And take an eye out of a wee dog today.
Taking an eye out.
Yeah.
How do you do that? What's
or why do we do it?
Well, you would certainly do it. There's some sort of disease.
It's normally due to ulcers or glaucoma. If the dog has pain in its eye, this one has a very deep ulcer, so we will enucleate it. It's the point of bursting.
Yeah. Well, you have to take all of that out.
You take the whole eye out.
The whole eye, yeah.
You stitch the eyelids closed. In humans, they put in a glass eye. So basically, the dog looks as if it's just blinking in one eye.
Yeah.
When the hair grows back, the only thing you have to be extremely careful of is the other eye.
Yeah.
And it's a Shih Tzu, which means the short-faced breeds are much more prone to trauma of the eye.
Yeah.
So they have to be extremely careful with the
eye. Have you a device that goes in almost like a golf ball recovery thing? It goes into the eye and you close it and then you take the eye.
Unfortunately not. It's all done by dissection. You have to go and cut the muscles off the orbit.
Yeah.
And you actually take the eye out in the sac that it sits in the conjunctiva.
Yeah.
And remove it without bursting there. If you burst the eye after infection there, you automatically introduce
you introduce it to the bloodstream.
So you take the eye out as a whole.
Yeah. And is the eye liable to easy fracture? And
the eye can. Your cornea is basically like a tire in a car. The surface of the cornea is your rubber tire.
Yeah.
Under it, there's a membrane called Descemet's membrane, which is like the tube.
Yeah.
So if the tire wears, this protrudes out.
Yes.
And if you prick it at all, the eye just goes pop.
Well, it doesn't seem to me the kind of operation that you want to have a scalpel anywhere close to.
You need a scalpel to make your skin incision. Once you get in, then it's scissors.
Yeah.
And you just cut off the muscular attachments. There's quite a lot of muscles that actually rotate the eye.
Oh, yeah.
And you want to leave as much of those in situ.
Yeah.
To help decrease the dead space within the socket.
Yeah. Decrease the dead space.
Yeah.
Do you ever
have dead space? You have potential for infection.
Ah, yeah.
So you want to leave as much tissue behind.
Yeah. Would you put a prosthesis in there, like a packing or anything?
There is one technique that uses packing. The problem is the packing has to be removed gradually, and removing the packing is extremely painful.
Yeah. For the creature. Yeah.
I had a lurcher myself that I rescued many years ago, and they call her Sulliwine, one eye, or Sullivan.
Sullivan.
Yeah.
Is that what Sullivan means?
Yeah, one eye.
We'll look out for people called Sullivan and abuse them then.
And I remember it was done many years ago by another vet in the practice, and
of course it wouldn't have been.
She was baiting badgers.
Ah, yeah.
And she was brought in with this eye hanging out of her head.
Oh my goodness.
So every day we had to remove an inch of this packing. And the
yeah.
poor dog would scream the place down, so I said, never again will I pack an eye.
No. But I mean, once you'd packed the eye, why were you removing the packing?
It was basically a swab.
A swab?
Yeah, so you had to pull it out a bit every day in order for the granulation tissue to come up.
Oh, yeah. So you were putting the packing in to facilitate the new growth?
To facilitate the healing of the socket.
Yeah.
But
I see.
it's
I see.
a fairly horrific. In America, they're putting in prosthetic eyes.
Yeah.
They're using prosthetic testicles as well in their dogs.
Why would a dog want prosthetic testicles?
It's the owner wants it.
Oh.
So if you're walking your
You
Rottweiler
have
or
a
whatever
nice
down
set
the
of
street, yeah, he looks like
cojones.
the dog.
Yeah.
Like
Hey,
it
look!
should be, yeah.
Look at the balls of my dog. Wow, wow, wow! My dog has great paw. This is mad. I wish you well.
Thank you very much, Ron.
Have a lovely day,
And you too.
and no delivering of Simmentals in the back of taxis or anything like that on the way to the barn.
Hopefully not.
Hope not. Go well. God bless you.
Thank you.
It's good to see you, Liam.